Let's move on to the URC. 5 weeks of action. And of course, as we know on this show, we've got the Stormers Corner where we focus specifically on the Stormers. We know the partnership that they have with Sports Pesa, where we definitely make it count. The Stormers, they're smiling from ear to ear. 5 from 5, gentlemen. Nice and easy. I mean, last week I was making a big prediction saying that maybe this could be the season. The lad said, relax, Aaron, relax. You know, it's too soon. But gentlemen, are we smiling from ear to ear? Looking at the performance that we're seeing from the Stormers. Of course, one notable absentee is Sasha wasn't there in the squad, but a player like Mattia showing up as well, big time. Brett, were you happy with the Stormers? They're cruising nicely.
I was happy. The first 30 minutes of the game against Benetton, I wasn't happy. I got messages from people. People sent me messages on Instagram saying, I think the Stormers are going to lose. I'm like, just relax.
Relax.
30 minutes in.
30 minutes in. And yeah, so I wasn't happy. But Yuri Mattia, what a step up.
Yo.
He knows who he's going up against. Like, Sasha is the real deal. And Yuri Mattia is becoming a very good contender to, like, maybe push Sasha to 12. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like Yuri is the real deal at 10, and I feel like it really excites me that we have some depth in that Stormers side. Really exciting.
But that just hammers my point from last week, you know, where I mentioned about John Dobson being brave enough to give youngsters opportunity. Yeah. Now, Yuri's been obviously part of the junior system and played last year, this year as well. Again, I think the cycle that the Stormers, and I mentioned it last week, the cycle that the Stormers find themselves in allows John Dobson to give players an opportunity. And what's nice to see even is that players are using and taking the opportunity. Now we're sitting around the table saying, maybe Yuri Mattia must get more starts. Maybe Yuri Mattia must play more. But the question is where? You know, I think there's another example of a situation where a player's got to be patient and not forced. Because for me, if he can sit under a guy like Sasha and just learn, you know, because Sasha's obviously playing at the highest level now.
Yeah.
You know, he's being exposed to great players, being challenged to a great environment. So if he can just sit and be patient, he'll get his opportunity. Because at some stage, Sasha will also maybe want to go, over, take a bit of a break and maybe go play in Japan, make some money.
Yeah.
You know, so he's just going to be patient and keep knocking, because the reality is, I'm sure other clubs will say, hey, Yuri, come play for us. You know, but he's got to be patient, because I think the way of play for the Stormers actually suits him. And I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Kobus Reinach finally gets his debut for the Stormers. I know that Brett Burns, the moment that decision was made, you were the first person talking about Kobus Reinach is going to the Stormers. That combination between Sasha and Kobus is going to be lethal. He played in the second half for the Stormers, making his debut. Were you happy?
I heard he got emotional when Kobus went into the field.
Oh, really? Were you teary-eyed?
No, I wasn't.
Don't lie, Brett. It's okay.
So it's no secret that I'm a big Kobus fan.
Yeah.
Like, big fan. Have been for the longest time. I was the guy that protested on my own that Faf is starting over Reinach in the box setup for the longest time. So, yes, very, very happy. I do like how he brought a calmness to the side, and I feel like he's the reason why the Stormers ended up pulling it through at the end the way they did, because they were struggling for the longest time. So I am very happy with the Kobus signing, the Kobus start, or the Kobus come off the bench. So, yes, very happy. Also, last thing that I would just want to reiterate on, remember last week I spoke about Galant being too inconsistent, hot and cold. And this was the perfect game for that, because he gave away so many opportunities and then also created and then gave away again. So he needs to work on his consistency if he ever wants to wear that green jersey again.
And that's the downside of the Stormers environment. When things go well, it's like they just, like nonchalant all over the show. But when they do get together and they say, listen, let's turn it on, it's magic.
Yeah.
Sabelo Sinatla, we saw him unfortunately leaving the field with somewhat of a... It looked concerning to me. Of course, I don't know the extent and the details regarding that injury. But looking at the 4 matches before that injury that he played for the Stormers, he was absolutely lethal. I mean, we know what the man did at 7s level. But playing 15s, it's almost like, yay! Hy's meer gevaar. Brett Burns, Sabelo Senatla, that injury, it looked incredibly concerning. How much of a blow will that be for the Stormers? And in terms of depth again, so often we talk about depth, who can possibly fill those shoes if that does become possibly a long-term injury or maybe he's out for 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, I'm annoyed that Angelo Davids left the Stormers, left Western Province, because I felt like this injury was prone to happen because Senatla went from a very conservative player to now he's getting haunt, that word that you like to use, and now he's going for it. So now injuries are prone to happen. So I'm annoyed that we lost wings when Senatla started actually firing. That's a good word. So I think this is a big loss for the Stormers, depending on the longevity of this injury. Yeah. So it's a bit annoying for me. I'm not happy that we're losing wings because that's the only place we're struggling with depth is on the wing.
I can understand why a guy like Angelo Davis left. You know, he was playing every fourth or third game. You know, he wasn't a consistent week in and week out kind of player. And he's also getting a little bit older. You know, he's not your youngster anymore. So I totally understand it. I think for Senatla, I mean, that poor guy's been through so much. He's been through the car accident, you know, not being able to maybe possibly play again, having to deal with that, and then injury after injury. I think he's got to, I don't know what he's got to do, but he's got to get into a space where somehow he's got to get, because I mean, he's an ultimate professional. You know, off the field, he takes care of himself, but unfortunately, rugby is just, you know, collision sport, and with collisions, there is going to be injuries.
Yeah. Injuries are part of the game, they say. Let's leave the Stormers now and let's move on to Durban. The Sharks, right? Before we talk about Plumtree, of course, there's a lot to discuss there. I want to talk about the Sharks securing their first W of the season. They had a horrible start. But then securing that W, what does that mean for the squad? Because we were talking about it. Everyone was talking about the fact that the Sharks have all these Springboks and they're struggling to win a game. And finally, they got that W, Brett.
Yeah, I firstly never want to stop talking about the Stormers. So, yeah, I also don't really want to focus so much on the W as much as I do on the news that broke that Plumtree is they've come to a mutual agreement that at the end of the season he's going to leave. I feel like maybe the mutual agreement should have been like, can you leave next week? Because the Sharks, with all that money and all those players that they have, it's not working. The relationship is not working. So now you're going to bring them down even more until the end of the season. Now next season is going to be another rebuild. They're going to lose their first 5 again, and people are going to say, yeah, because we're rebuilding, we got a new coach, we got a new this. Start now. Like, do what the Premier League people do. They fire you on Tuesday after Sunday's loss.
So, you're out. They're bringing a new manager by the end of the week.
Or maybe that should happen at Liverpool. But anyway, it's a rugby show. It's a rugby show. It's not.
Anyway. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. If you watch the match, you know, you kind of there was a little bit more fire last week. You know. Just across the board from 1 to 23, there was more clarity, there was more drive. You know, just the way they applied themselves last week was, for me, was clearly, you know, just visible. Now, my question is, where was that clarity and the way they applied themselves the week before? Back to my thing in terms of, is it the coaching issue or is the play issue? They're going to fire not fire the coach. He's going to leave at the end of the season. If he left today, would it change? I don't know. If he left last week, the other thing is, if they bring in a new guy, will it change immediately? Because let me tell you this, it takes a while to create the right culture in the team. The Springboks, again, is not there. How are they going to fit in with a new guy? Is it maybe the right thing to keep him until the end of the season, so when the Springboks comes in, it's a little bit easier transition? I don't know. And these are all questions that one, you know, has to linger about when you take that job, because it's not just a matter of getting in, you know, swinging your wand and say, ta-da, there's new stuff. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of Springboks that I feel that possibly could have added a lot of more value in the Sharks system specifically, which they probably didn't. Who does it reflect back on? They still get selected for the national team, but the coach gets a flag. And so these are things that it's really, I feel for Plum. I genuinely feel for him because he's not a bad coach. This is the same guy who took him to a Currie Cup final, who's won a Currie Cup final, who's played, understand the culture. This is the same guy who's coached at the All Blacks. You know, so these are all things that you have to ask the questions, but I don't know if I have the answers. I don't know.
Sure. Answer this for me, coach. Change in management, they call it, in Durban at the Sharks. Who's next?
That's the question.
Are you next?
That is the question. That is look, let me say this. If they come knocking, I'll open the door and I'll listen.
Oh, you listen?
I will definitely listen.
Won't just take the offer.
No.
What are your options?
Because I think, again, for any coach, if you take a job, you need to be, the buck has got to stop with you. You've got to be the person to make the first call and the last call. If a coach, if you don't have that position or you're not in that position, you're always going to find yourself hunting for the next one. We've seen it now with Rassie Erasmus. Every single job that he's taken, that's been his viewpoint. Ends and starts with me. There's no one else, because ultimately, you as the coach gets judged for the results. We see it now at the Sharks. You know? So that's my answer. That's my answer.
Brett Burns, let's roll back the tapes here.
Are we going to ask the comment section how many likes to make Jonathan Mokoena coach?
Actually, please.
Oh,
if
wow, guys.
want
These are my agents, just by the way.
Jonathan Mokoena to move to the Sharks. I mean, just comment down below. Please hit that like button. Let's see how many likes we can get. And then maybe the management at the Sharks will give you a call.
Send this video to them. Send this video to them.
Yeah, tag the Sharks in this video. Must Jonathan Mokoena be the next Sharks coach?
I say yes, but we might miss you on this show. But I say
no,
yes.
we'll travel to Durban. He
Ons
will
maak
be
'n
on.
plan. Ons maak 'n plan. Ons maak 'n plan. Brett Burns?
I need to ask the question. Do you think Plumtree, the flank Plumtree, said to his team, listen, guys, my dad really needs a win here?
Oi! Let me say this. It didn't look like it the way they were smashing him.
Yes.
It definitely did. Him and Sia was going at each other like two mad people. So it didn't look like it. I don't know. I don't know.
No comment on that one. Please join the conversation in the comment section. Brett Burns, let's talk about Plumtree is leaving at the end of the season, right? If we roll back the tape, we can see that you've made a big call and you said a coach like Jake White, he's available. He's sitting without a job. Is that an option? If that's not an option, who would you put in that hot seat at the Sharks? Because there's a lot that one has to turn around there.
Jake White does have a job. I read it this week. That
at school,
He's signed at Pinetown or what's the school?
Some easy school.
Yeah, he's signed at a school. So he's got a job. So, but I think if the Sharks had to come knocking, that he'd say exactly what Jonathan just said. Like, I'd listen. But I don't know. I've been fixated this whole week about it. I want to see Jonathan Mokoena as the Sharks coach. I want to see what this man can do. Like, I've been under Jonathan at the Lions 7, so the man can coach. Didn't make me better, but
you are hard, Joe. I'm still trying to get you better.
I'd like to see that, and that's not being biased at all. That is literally my honest opinion. I want to see that happen.
Please let us know. Jonathan Mokoena, let's advocate for him. Everyone in South Africa is an agent for this man to be the head coach at the Sharks. You spoke about the Lions there. 2 wins for Cash van Rooyen. We have put him under a lot of pressure on the show. You watch the game, you analyze the game. Are things becoming a little bit better for the Lions?
They are, and they will. Can I steer clear a little bit from that question, just to also talk about the Lions and their fans? I want to know if Ellis Park is the answer to the Lions. Like, should they do what happened at Newlands and scrap Ellis Park? I know there's history. People are falling back on the history so many times. But move away from Hillbrow, find a better stadium, a smaller stadium, or maybe merge with the Cheetahs or something like that, just to bring back the Lions rugby. So yes, the stadium is iconic, but Lions rugby needs fans. So I'm really getting concerned because I watched again 2 weeks ago. I spoke about 1,700 people.
The emptiness of
And
the
last
stadium,
week it looked less. It looked even less, like less than 1,000 people there. So that's a massive concern for me. And I'd like answers. I don't know the answers, so I'd like answers.
Jono?
Yeah, interesting. The Ellis Park thing will always be contentious. I think ultimately the management, Rudolf Strauly, Altmar Alles, they must decide what they want. In terms of, do they want winning team with winning supporters, or is a winning team without supporters good enough for them? I can almost foresee if they move into a better environment, there will be more people, because we all South Africans, people support a winning team. That's the reality.
Fact, yeah.
So we've seen it previous years as well. If you go through a bit of a dip, the supporters draw home. They don't want to get there. They want to come watch. But if you're winning, they are there. So we also have to be mindful of making things a little bit easier for the supporters as well, because traveling to Hillbrow is very, very tough. It's very, very tough. I know of the F&B Stadium. And how actually apparently people are saying F&B Stadium is safer than what it is at Ellis Park.
Sure.
In and around it. So maybe even going to F&B Stadium is a better option, because people has got better access, security is better. I know them the guy who runs the stadium security for F&B. He says with last week with the what did the concert that you guys would go to? These fancy
Travis Scott.
Yeah. There was only 5 incidences of all pickpocketing. No violence, just pickpocketing cell phones. Now that says a lot.
Wow.
And it was sold out. But if he can pride himself on the fact there's only 5, then why can't the rugby guys then maybe also look at that? I think there's definitely a conversation that can be had or should be had, and potentially move the lines.
And it's a very nice stadium.
That's very nice.
Just very big though. So they definitely, to your point, need more supporters, because the capacity is 90,000. So if you've got the 1,000 that you mentioned last week, it will look very, very empty.
It will, but Ellis Park is also a big stadium.
Yeah.
Like it's not a small stadium, so they can fill it. Like 2 years ago, I went to Stormers versus Lions at Ellis Park, and there was 30,000 people there, and it looked empty. So that's testament to how big the stadium actually is.
Yeah.
So moving from one big stadium to another big stadium, for safety reasons, it's going to be beneficial to the Lions.
Yeah.
So.
Big question. Should the Lions stay at Ellis Park, or possibly are there other options that they can explore? As Jono mentioned, maybe the F&B Stadium, which is in Soweto, is another option that the Lions can explore. Let's move on to the Bulls. Ackerman. Second defeat of the season. Coach, should we be concerned? Is everything still all right with Ackerman and the Bulls?
Everything is still good. Okay. Everything is still good.
Okay.
Everything, even though the president Willem Strauss doesn't believe it, or he says the team is conceding too many tries. I think they're still in a good space. They've got enough quality in the group and a quality coach to really turn things around. And again, it wasn't massive.
Yeah,
it was
quite close.
Yeah. So, and again, I think you have to look at teams, and referring back to the Sharks, the effort, the willingness, the work rate, the work ethic from last week. And you can see they understand the plan. It's just now execution, which is a different challenge to what other teams are facing.
Brett Burns.
This wouldn't have happened under Jake White. The players that they brought in would have been perfect for Jake White. So I feel like now it's gone back to what I just said about what's going to happen at the Sharks. It's our rebuilding phase. We got a new coach, blah, blah, blah. if Jake White had given one more season, I think the Bulls could have won the URC this year.
I'm hoping you're not a double agent for Jake White
Yeah,
and for myself, eh?
yeah.
Because, you're kind of selling this way, selling that way.
Jake White, Jono. Anyone else that you're selling?
Whoever pays the best.
Gentlemen, of course, looking at the big game that lies ahead this weekend, there is no URC action this weekend, but it's only the Springboks. It's only fitting that we end off with some predictions. Of course, if you want to make a little bit of money, right, on the Sports Pesa app, that's the most important thing to us, where we definitely make it count. Brett Burns, I want to start with you. Last week, only got one prediction wrong, right? Where are you putting your money specifically in this game between the Springboks and Japan?
Do you want a margin?
Let's make it a margin of victory. Because one would say that, I mean, it's an obvious result in terms of who's going to win this game.
Because Jake White seems to be extremely confident that they could upset the Boks this weekend. The Lulu.
The Lulu's the Sululu, some would say.
Yeah, so before the show I was leaning to a strong 60-point win, but I'm gonna be a bit like more conservative, and I'm gonna think it's about a 32-point win to the Springboks.
Behoorlijke pakslaag.
Coach? Yeah. I don't think it's going to be that easy in the first 40 minutes. I think they won't be able to last and go to the dark side with us for 60 minutes.
Not at all.
I think after 60 minutes, we'll kind of turn in the taps. Remember, Victor Matthew was also with the Japanese this week, or the last few months actually. And he's been working with their lineouts and their forwards. So they will definitely be better. They'll have a few tricks up their sleeve. But I think on 60 minutes, we'll turn in the screws, and it's going to be ugly.
Score prediction?
It's going to be
As
ugly.
we go to the dark side?
I think 35 plus. 35 plus.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Do you not agree? The Springboks are taking on Japan at the Wembley Stadium. What an absolutely incredible show. There's so much for us to talk about. We spoke about the future for a player like Lukhanyo Am. We spoke about the future at the Sharks. We are seeing a change in management at the end of the season. And then a burning question regarding the Lions. Should they possibly move to another stadium that is a different option in terms of safety? And the supporters at the Lions, what's wrong with your squad? And most importantly, how do we change things? Yes, 2 victories, but are you going to the stadium? That is Omni Rugby. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. And of course, we'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Goodbye.